Hello and welcome to another hashtag How I Safari review. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Safari Ltd 2020 Ichthyosaurus, one of my favorite 2020 models from the company. An absolutely fantastic addition to their array of marine creatures and a really lovable little model in general. If you would like to purchase this or indeed any Safari Ltd product, you can do so at safariltd.com or at amazon.com/safariltd, and you can use the coupon code BIONIC to get a discount off your purchase like a cool kid. So anyhow, yeah, this is one of my favorites from 2020, like I said. The Ichthyosaurus and the Pachycephalosaurus are pretty much my top three. The colors are great. I love the straight up just black and white counter shading with like a little bit of striping pattern on the side. Very simple, but super just striking and eye-catching, and I love a good simple just black and white marine animal. Reminds me of like a killer whale or something, and it's just really just looks sharp and aesthetically pleasing overall. And the execution of the paint is not the best. I'll say that right off the bat. My one major complaint for this figure is just the paint application. You can kind of see the line between the black and the white is a little rough, and then over here it starts getting like blended. Up here it's like very soft and kind of blended and a bit odd looking, kind of cool looking, but it almost looks like that's not how it's supposed to be because the lines are so straight in other places. You can see the line is very sort of messy along here. On the other side there's some white getting up onto the top of the snout, which I don't think is supposed to be there. Yeah, it's not the greatest. The eyes are also not painted super great. The pupils are not centered, and the paint looks a tad bit sloppy in some areas. That's really my only major complaint for this figure, though, so I'm just gonna move on and get on to other positive stuff. I really love the overall look this guy has. He's kind of cute. He's very pudgy, properly blubbery, as a modern reconstruction of an Ichthyosaurus should indeed be. And it just looks so nice. He's just such a pleasant, pleasing looking figure. And he's really hard to hate on. He's not like the most remarkable thing in the world, but he's just so like, just look at this happy little fella. How could you dislike him? Look at his adorable face. Now I will say another minor complaint I have is another detail of that adorable face. It's almost a little too adorable for me. And in the sense that it's a little cartoony looking. Specifically, I'm referencing this little like cartoon mouth line that he has, like this little smile, like cheek line. A bunch of the figures this year have this, and I don't know why. Like, I don't get it. It looks very goofy to me. It's not as noticeable on this figure because on most of the other figures, their heads are not black, but the mouth line is painted a super dark black. So thankfully on this figure, it's much more inconspicuous, but it still is there and it still does bother me slightly. I just wish the mouth was cut off like right about there, or if it kept going, it would just be a straight line and not this like goofy cartoon smile. That is admittedly a bit of a nitpick though. As far as accuracy goes, overall proportions are great. Again, I love how chubby it is. The eyes are properly big. Shape of the head and snout looks good. The only minor things I could complain about anatomically would be, I guess, the fins are very rounded, and I imagine that's just in an effort to modernize the animal a little, make sure that there's plenty of flesh on the bones, but I do think that especially for the dorsal fin, they could probably stand to be a bit of a more triangular pointed shape. A bit of, rounding is fine, but it doesn't have to be like a perfect like pyramid on the top, but they should be a bit more pointed than this, I think. And then also the fluke is like almost perfect, but technically like it should be perfectly symmetrical, I think. Like that's a rule of thumb with Ichthyosaurus flukes, is that there's as much fluke on the bottom as there is on the top. And on this figure, there is like a tiny bit more on the bottom, but that is like the nittiest of nitpicks, so I won't spend too much time on it. And that is about everything I have to say about this model. It is not perfect, but it is really good. It's a high recommendation from me for this year's lineup, probably the highest. I think it is still my favorite out of all the 2020 figures, and I'm going to be giving this one another solid 9 out of 10. Here it is with the Ichthyosaurus, and I will see you all on the flip. This one could actually do this, because it was aquatic. It could actually do the flip.